Welcome to the Ranch and Table Podcast, where we discuss all things related to our Texas ranch and our Ranch to Table restaurant located in downtown Rockwall. I'm your host, Lee Wells. All right, welcome everybody. Today, I am doing my very first solo podcast. No guest in the studio today. Just me discussing a requested topic, and that topic is time management. I have a good friend who heard about the podcast and knew I had been writing a book, and his comment to me was about being busy, maybe about being too busy, and he said, if you did a podcast about time management, how you do it all, I would listen to that podcast. And so here you go. This is for you. Today we're going to talk about my life, a little bit about my life and what I do every day, what my week looks like. I know people have asked over the years how we get everything done we do a week, how I do the things that I do. And so I'm just going to tell you kind of how I do it. I'll tell you some priorities that I carry through my week, and then how I structure some things to make things work. And I'm just going to kick it off today by telling you, I heard something years ago, and then it proved out true in leadership and management over the years. And that is, if you want something done, ask a busy person. If you ask a person that's not real busy, they'll usually give you an excuse as to why they couldn't get it done. Years ago, I was in ministry. I was a youth pastor, and we had a team of people that helped us, a committee of parents that helped us, and it was always interesting to me, the people who never had time to do anything for the ministry were people that were stay-at-home moms with no kids to take care of at the house, and I was scratching my head as to what that meant. And then if I needed something done, I would ask, one of the parents that has 4 kids at the house and sports and everything else going on. And I realized that it's true. Ask a busy person, and then it'll figure out a way to get it done. And that's just me. I'm a busy person. You need something done, I can find a way. I'll figure out a way to get it done usually. And that's kind of my life, and that's the way I roll. So let me tell you, first of all, some of the things that I do every week, and just who I am for those who may not know that much about me. And those that do know may learn something today. First of all, I own Wells Cattle Company, restaurant and market in Rockwall, Texas. We're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 9, and then Wednesday we do a half day close at 3, so 11 to 3. We're closed on Sunday. So that's a full-time restaurant. I own Wells Cattle Company Ranch out in Cattle Mills, Texas, and operate that as well. I am a senior pastor at the church that my family and I started back in 2011, and Landmark Fellowship in Rockwall, Texas is the name of that church, and so I'm the senior pastor there. I own a small liquid feed company off of my ranch out here, and then as some know, I'm finishing my first book, and now this podcast. So those are some of my priorities, but most importantly, I am married to my high school sweetheart, Linda, of 26 years, and I have 2 amazing daughters. We have 2 amazing daughters together, Addison and Kayla, and so my family, I would say, is priority 1, and then of course the church and the businesses are right there together. They both need to be done. And then my one of my very top priorities, I would say my real number 1, is myself. And that's not a selfish thing. That is a maintenance thing. That is how I do what I do. I learned years ago that I have to take care of me before I can take care of others. If I don't take care of me, if if I don't take care of my mental, physical, my needs, then I'm not available to take care of other people's needs. Some of you know folks that are they don't take care of themselves very well, and they drop out of off the radar. They drop out of people's lives. They come and go. They're not dependable. And so I realized years ago that if I was going to do all the things that I feel called to do in my life, I would have to take care of myself first. And so I'm going to get into some of those things and kind of how I structure that. Maybe some of what I say will resonate with somebody. Maybe it will at least give an answer to those who have some questions about how all this works every week. And so, number one, I have to take time for myself, and I have to make sure that my priorities are right throughout the week and throughout the day. So as a Christian, and this is a business podcast, so let me just say up front today that if you've tuned in for business only and you don't want to hear about the pastor side or Christianity, then maybe just skip to another one, because I can't talk about myself. I can't talk about my life without telling you a whole lot about Christ, because I cannot do what I do every day without His power, strength, His encouragement, and His calling. So, if this offends you, then maybe this isn't the podcast for you. Pick up another one in the row there and grab that, because we'll just pretty much stay on business. But today, I can't separate this podcast from the reality that I'm a Christian, that I lean heavily on the help of the Lord in my life. And so that is what it is. So number one, I make time for my own self, my own priorities. And as a Christian and a pastor, I have to have time for devotion. I have to have time, quiet time. So every morning I start out, and every morning's a little different, but I section out a couple of hours every morning. My staff out here know on the ranch, my staff in the restaurant know that mornings are, my wife, my kids, mornings are my time to get things done that are personal, that have to be done and have to be a priority. So devotion, time to study, I have to be ready for Sunday. So all through the week, I'm working towards Sunday. A lot of people are working to the weekend. I think that's a song or two. Everybody's working for the weekend. I'm working for Sunday morning. And so every day, my thought process is, what is the Lord speaking to my life? What am I doing right now? What can I? In the back of my mind, I always have thoughts that pertain to ministry. I'm listening to the Lord. If I'm driving in the tractor, working a field, or if I'm in the truck, if I have any quiet time at all, I'm usually thinking about what I'm going to say or what the Lord would have me say on Sunday. So that's kind of my method of keeping up, is in any quiet time that I would have, especially in the mornings, I'm focused on that. And then through those devotions, through those times, I'm ready for Sunday. And we'll get into some more of that prep in just a minute. But my life looks different than most people's lives, and I've structured it that way. I've been privileged at this point in my life to structure it the way that I want to, and the way that works for me. And I think that everybody that's trying to wrestle with their day or their time management, you have to find what works for you. You can read Stephen Covey's books, you can read, various leadership books, various time management books. But I think that comes down to, how are you wired? What is your DNA around your day? Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? Just how do you function? And you got to find the way that you function. And so over the years, I know that I am more of a late night, more of an evening person. So that's what I build my life around, and it works for me. And so number two, I have to make sure my teams are up and running every day. So I have a great team. Without teams at the restaurant, without the teams out here at the ranch, I couldn't do what I do. So I trust the teams at the restaurant working, doing the things that they're asked to do the way they're supposed to do it. And I tell you what, I have been blessed with some great folks. Not perfect folks. I don't know of any of those that are out there, but really great people. And if they listen to this podcast, which I don't know if they would or not, but I want them to know this cannot happen without them. I try to let them know, at least on a weekly basis, how important they are and how critical they are to the forward motion of the company. And so I trust my teams in the mornings when my ranch hand here is usually up and out by 7:30 in the morning. He has his jobs and things that he does on the ranch without me. He goes out and feeds pastures and checks cattle and moves horses and makes sure the water, checks waters, and does the things that need to be done without me. And he knows that I'll be out around 9 o'clock is usually when I get out, and we jump in the truck or head to a field or pasture, whatever we're working on. And so, of course, this is flexible. That we've got hay season, we may be up at daylight, working the hay field and getting it done while we have the weather to do it. So all of this is within flexibility. But for the most part, this is how it works. I trust my teams. I couldn't do anything that I do without my teams. And then those amazing people make all of it work. Number 3, and these aren't necessarily in order. This is just the list I made for this podcast. But I have to have family time set aside, and family time is priority. And so what we do is, as an overview, Wednesday evenings and Sundays after church, Sunday church and after church is dedicated family time for us. And so my kids know not to schedule anything on Wednesday evenings. My kids know not to schedule anything with their friends on Sunday afternoons. I mean, every once in a while is fine, but those are dedicated times that we are together, and they look forward to us going out to eat somewhere, doing something fun together. We do that every week, and those are critical times to keep our families together. Just on a side note, my wife and I, we eat dinner together just about every night. So we're busy. I'm busy. I've got a lot going. But at the same time, we look pretty normal, probably from a high level looking down. My wife and I either cook dinner or more than likely she cooks dinner, and we eat dinner together most nights, or go out to eat most nights, whatever happens to be happening. And then the kids are involved when they're here. They eat with us when they're here. My daughters are busy. My oldest daughter is one of my kitchen managers at the restaurant. So when she's off, we eat dinner together with her. When my other daughter, who is a color guard captain, she is in the musical at school. She just made it into the thespian acting, singing competition. She's got something going almost every night. But when she's home, she's with us. And then Wednesday nights are going again, and Sundays are dedicated to family. So we have to have those priorities in order to make everything work. Number 4, I've been writing a book. And so in order for that to have happened, I've had to squeeze some life and some time out of the mornings and maybe out of the evenings once the kids go to bed. Once everyone goes to bed and the house is quiet, I've worked on that. Now, interesting fact on the book, I never thought I would write a book. I really didn't. I've been asked to write a book about our journey at the restaurant, our beef business for several years now, and I didn't feel like the time was right, but I also really didn't feel the confidence, or I didn't feel that I had the time or the sit down ability to write a book, a full length book. But I tell you how I figured out how to do it. I was sitting in the tractor one day, and a thought hit me. I thought, if I ever did write a book, I would put that in it. And so I grabbed my phone, my smartphone, and I opened a document, and I just, with my thumbs, began to type on that subject, and just some words flowed. And so I just put it into that document. And the next day I was sitting waiting on a trailer to be loaded up with hay. And so I was just sitting in the truck with my foot on the brake. If you ever loaded hay, you know how that works. And so um, I grabbed my phone again. I thought, you know what? Let me just add to that thought. And I, with my thumbs, began to type. And so, come to find out, about 80% of the core information of that book, I typed on my phone in between meetings, in between loads of hay, in between pausing shoving the clutch in and stopping the tractor for a minute and just getting a thought down and keep on rolling. And so that worked for me. Again, you just got to find what works for you. And then once I got the majority of the structure of that book kind of worked out in at least headlines and some ideas, then I was able to move it over to a laptop and then start working towards putting it all together and editing it. And it was a lot easier with that. But I don't know that I would have ever done what I did. I don't think I would have ever written. I'm almost at 30,000 words, which I never thought I would be at on a book writing, if it wasn't for finding a way to do it for the way that worked for me. And so with that, it took some giving and taking in some other areas, but I've been able to get that done. And then finally, on this section of the podcast, I want to talk to you about one of the most important parts of how I stay successful, and that is, and get ready for this, it's not going to be, it's anticlimactic. I make time for sleep. I make time for sleep. I don't pride myself in sleeping 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours a night. I can't do it. And some guys can. Some guys say, I just need 4 hours, and I don't know how they do that. I need sleep. And so typically I try to get in bed by midnight. Sometimes that does not work, but I try to get in bed by midnight. And then I'm up by 7 or 8 o'clock, between 7 and 8, most every day during the week. And so sleep is one of the most important elements that I have found for myself when it comes to management, time management of my own time and body. I need sleep in order to be successful during the day. And if I don't get it, I do not perform well during the day. I'm a pretty nice person. I think I can be a fun guy to be around sometimes, but if I don't sleep for a few days and I don't get the rest that I need, I am not that person. And it's not fair to my kids. It's not fair to my wife. It's not fair to my customers. It's not fair to the teams that I work with and the people that I'm around. And so one of the major things that I control in my life is my sleep. And I think everybody needs to look at that, because if you don't have time to recuperate, if your body doesn't have time to rest and rebuild, then all of your functions can be off pretty easily. And so you live your life, I'll live mine, but I'm just saying that's one of the things that I have found to be very critical for my moving forward and staying as busy as I do. And then let me just go through kind of what my week looks like with you, and we'll talk a little more about some details. But Mondays are typically cattle buying Mondays. One of the major cattle auctions in our area is on Mondays, and so those can be kind of later nights if we're there doing that. It's an all-day thing, buying cattle, and we have to do that because we're a cattle company. And for those that don't know what a cattle company does, we buy and sell cattle for various reasons. We have all kinds of reasons for buying cattle. We have what's called a cow-calf operation, which means we have mama cows and bulls, and they produce calves, and then we let those calves grow up. And then we decide with those calves when they're about weaning stage whether or not we're going to keep them in our program and let them grow up to maybe be a mother one day, a herd bull one day, or a steer, and maybe they're going to be provide meat. Or we take a lot of our calves and we sell them back into the market and buy more cattle, and then we can buy either cattle that are bred already 3 months along, or 6 months or 8 months along in their the calving the pregnancy, and then we'll have that calf, and we'll have a cow and a calf for that price. Or we may buy pairs. Right now, what we're doing a lot of is we're buying pairs. That's a cow and it with the calf on its side already there, and so you buy the pair together, and now you have a calf that's already started. You know it's already alive. It's already doing well, and then you take that calf once it's to weaning age and put it through the matrix of decision. We also buy cattle that we're from ranches and various places around that we turn out to be able to butcher later for our restaurant. So we have a whole lot of things that we do during the fall and winter months. We buy young calves in and get them straightened out, get them healthy, and then put them on high energy wheat, green grass fields, winter pasture. And then when they get up big enough, 450, 500, 600 pounds, we take them back to a special sales that are designed for beef growers to buy at a premium and then take into their programs and do what they're going to do, grow them up and whatever they're going to become, they're going to become. But we do a lot of things with cattle. And then at the same time, we supply ourselves beef. Last year in 2022, we used about just shy of 35,000 pounds of ground beef in our restaurant. So if you take that and divide it by a third pound burger, that's about 100,000 burgers worth. Now, not all of those sold through our restaurant. We sell beef on the side out of the freezer to people to take home. So some of that went there. A lot of that went to burgers. And so we do a lot of that kind of stuff. But some of that, most of those things that we buy, most of those cattle we buy, come in on that Monday sale. So Mondays are busy for us. Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, we take cattle in to butcher to be able to come back. Every other Tuesday, we bring beef back into Rockwall. And so those are busy days of the week. Of course, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those are ranch days for me. I'm out on the ranch. We're making it all happen. We're a horseback ranch, meaning that we work cattle off of horses most of the time. We rope cattle off of horses, herd cattle with horses, check fences, check cattle with horses when we can. So those things are a lot of times what I'm doing during the day. We've got, equipment set up for hay. So we cut, rake, and bale our own hay. We also bale enough hay to sell to the public. So we sell quite a bit of hay. And so those are things that we do. We plant our own winter pastures and summer hay pastures. So 2 seasons of planting, plowing, and fertilizing. All of those things happen between our team here at the ranch, myself. And so that's kind of a highlight of what we have to accomplish every day on the ranch. And then moving on to Saturday, I'm scheduled into the restaurant on Saturdays. So on Saturdays, I put myself on the schedule to be there to see people, help out at the restaurant. It's our busiest day of the week. So Saturdays, I'm in the restaurant helping out. You've seen me there if you've been around. And I love doing that. I love staying connected. And then so I typically try to leave about 8 o'clock on Saturdays, get home, and then study, get my notes together, get my final thoughts together for my Sunday message on Sunday morning. So about 9 to midnight is study time for me on Saturday. Saturdays are my hardest day. Saturdays are tough. Since we opened the restaurant, Saturdays are my toughest day, but I try to take care of myself during the week so that on Saturdays I can expend myself, make it happen, stay up late if I need to, and then have something to present on Sunday that would be helpful to those that attend church. So those are kind of how the weekdays work, and then Saturday, and then of course Sunday morning I get up, we get everything ready to go to run into Rockwall to church. Our church service starts a little later. We're 11:30 church start time. So we have some time. I can kind of sleep a little bit in the morning. I don't have to wake up at 6 or 7 like some pastors. I can sleep a little bit, be rested, and then get in and grab some breakfast and then start church about at 11:30. And so our church service gets out about 12:31, somewhere in there, 1:15, just depends on the day. And then we go out to eat it's a family day, and in the afternoons come back. Now that I've started this podcast, Sunday evenings is where the slot is to record the podcast, and sometimes Wednesday evenings, depending on the kids' schedule and when they're available to help and what we have planned for family time. Either Sunday nights or Wednesday afternoons, we try to shoot a podcast during the week, and so it is busy. There is a lot going on, but I have been less busy in my life. I have had seasons in my life where I sat in a chair all day at an office. I've sat all day running my own companies, and it did not do well for my heart, did not do well for my body. It didn't do well for my mind. And so for me, I do better staying active, staying up, staying busy, and connecting with people, being involved in various things. It does my brain really well to stay active. And so I don't mind doing any of the things that I do. Someone asked me the other day, so do you think you'll just, what do you think you'll drop in your life? The church, or, I don't have anything to drop. I don't have anything to drop. There's nothing I want to let go of. I love doing everything I do every day. I love being a part of the team at the restaurant. I love being a part of the team at the church. I love being part of the team at the ranch. I have the best life. I don't feel sorry for me for being busy, because I have a blast in life. I have the best family. I've got the best kids, best wife. And let me just wrap up this segment by saying this. I could not do what I do if it were not for my wife, Linda. And this is going to get a little sappy a little bit, just because it is. But I could not do any of this. That I don't think I could do any of this without her. We grew up together, just about. And this is something you may not know. I don't talk about it very often, but we grew up together. I met her when I was 14 years old, and we started dating. I think I was 15, maybe. I got my permit, something like that. We might have started seeing each other at church functions or something like that. We went to church together, and started dating kind of seriously at 16 and on up. She could tell you more detail about this than me, but we dated. We had some on and off, again, times as most, I think most couples do, but we really stayed close together, and we ended up marrying. I was 21 when we got married, and we both waited till we were out of our college stuff and got married. And she has always said to me that she believed I could do anything I set my mind to. And she believed that I could be anything that I wanted to be. And that's not just empty words. Some people say that encouraging you, they're just kind of, they're kind of like those back of the back patting moments where someone's just like encouraging you, hitting you in the arm, saying you can do it. But she meant it. And that encouragement over the years is why I am where I am. And also the fact that she has meant it. She has backed me. She is, they say behind every man is a strong woman. That is an understatement in my case. I couldn't do what I do without the work that she puts in with the kids. I try to be the best dad that I can be, but I am not near the mother that she is. And she is an awesome woman. She gets the girls up and for school. She always has, and gotten them off to school and doing, and just, we work as a team in this house. She told me when we first got married, I don't want you in the laundry room. And it didn't hurt my feelings. I was okay with that. I didn't know anything about laundry, and so I could figure it out. But she didn't want pink, whites, and she didn't want those. She wanted it her way, a certain way. And there's lines in our house where she expects me to do these things, and I do those, and she does these, and it just works out great for us. And I am so blessed to have the people in my life to allow me the privilege to do the things that I get to do. And I think that's the bottom line of this whole podcast is everybody sees Lee Wells. Everybody sees Wells on the sign. Everybody thinks that I'm some guy that works hard and is always busy, and I am. I stay busy. I do work hard. But I couldn't do any of the things that I do if it wasn't for the people that allow me to do these things and lead them in the way that they allow me to. And so really all the glory goes to them, and really all the glory goes to God, because without his calling on my life, without his blessing on my life, you can stay busy, far too busy to be successful. And without his help and his calling, I'll tell you this story, and I may even edit this out later. I don't know. So if you hear this, you do, and if you don't, you'll never know it was here. But years ago, I was prayed for in a service, and I'm just going to share some of my testimony real quick as I wrap up, and this will make sense in a second. I struggled in school. I struggled in elementary school. I went off to. They sent me back then. They weren't very cool about it. Now, if you're in special classes, you kind of integrate, and people, they don't have a chance to make fun of you as much. They're doing better in school, in public school. But when I was in school, they'd say, Lee, it's time for you to go to your special class. And I'd have to go to the little white building out back, and I'd have to go give help reading and help with math. And I would go out there and for certain times of the day, and they would call it certain things. I won't say because it's derogatory now to say those things about people, but they would call me names. And it was always a shame on me that I would go out and have to go to those special classes, but that's the reality. That's the way it was. And it was hard on my mom being an educator. She was an English and Spanish teacher, and she's got a master's degree, and she's had this son that wasn't doing very well in school. And so one time I was in a class, and I was in the fifth grade. It's the first of the fifth grade, very first week, I think it was. And the teacher thought she was doing a good job. I think she said, now class, do this test as best as you can, because it's going to go on the plate glass window for everyone walking up and down the sidewalk to see. And it was a math benchmark type of test, and I made a 7 on it. I had gotten backwards the direction that you do math for some reason. I don't know. My brain didn't work real well. I was diagnosed with all kinds of dyslexia and ADHD, and I had the whole laundry list of lettering after my name, and so I had messed that test up. I was confused by math at that time of that test, and so she put that up on the plate glass just like she said she would, and I remember people walking by, kids walking by, even in the fifth grade, and we'd sit in class, and I could see people stop and point at that test and laugh at it, and I made up my mind that I was not going to be dumb my whole life. I was not going to be the dumb kid. And so I applied myself as best I could. And I was in a special service. Now, again, if this offends you, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to offend you. I'm just sharing what happened. I was in a special service, and I was prayed for, and God healed my mind. He healed my brain that night. Now, you can believe what you want to believe, and that's fine about that subject. But I'm here to tell you that night they handed me a King James Bible, and adults can't read the King James Bible. I certainly couldn't read the King James Bible. And I have friends that'll if you've got questions, I'll let you talk to them. Kevin and Scott and various guys that were there. And I opened that book, and I could read it line by line. I just read out of the scripture line by line without stopping. It was just God did a miracle in my life. That's the only explanation for it. And after that night, I determined, I knew what happened. I knew God had done something. And I was already determined to not be relegated to those letters and those things that were trying to rule my life. And so I began to work very hard at catching up on school and academics. And by the time I was in the 7th grade, going into the 8th grade, I told my mom, take me out of all the special classes and let me try the regular classes. And she said, okay. She did that. And I was able to pass. And by the time I was in the high school, my junior and senior year, we were in a small school out in Caddo Mills, and there was only 43 in our graduating class at the time. And Caddo Mills is not that anymore, but it was then. And so you could have the choice of physics and chemistry every other year. And I said, Mom, and those were advanced classes. I said, I want to take physics and I want to take chemistry my junior and senior year. And she said, whatever you want to do. And I was able to do those with relative ease. And I went on to a tech school after high school, and I graduated 3rd in my class with almost a 4.0 GPA. And I tell you all of that to say, I would not be sitting here talking to you. I would not be the owner of all of these companies or the pastor of that church if it were not for the favor of God and the help of God and the blessing of God. I could not be who I am today without His strength and without His ability in my life. And so I hope that doesn't offend. I hope that doesn't turn anybody off for listening or coming back to listen to other business podcasts that we'll have here. I didn't intend, this isn't in my notes. If you noticed, I haven't looked at notes in the last few minutes because I'm just sharing from my heart. I couldn't do what I do today. People want to know, how do you manage your time? How do you manage your day? How do you get it all done? And I can just tell you that I could not do it without the people in my life and without the calling and the help of God every day. And so if you're looking to expand your abilities and grow your companies and grow your life, and I want to just tell you, take care of your family, take care of yourself, take care of your relationship with Jesus Christ. And when you do that, you will find yourself in a growth pattern that's healthy, and it's going to take care of you. Get your sleep. Do the things you're supposed to do. Do the basic things. It's really not hard. I don't know that I've really illuminated anybody's life today by this podcast. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. It's really just pretty standard stuff. But that's how I'm able to do what I can do every day. And so maybe you've enjoyed this episode. I sure hope you have. Thanks for doing this with me today. My very first solo podcast. I talked the whole time without stopping. I'm Lee Wells on the Ranch and Table Podcast. And until we meet again, we say adios, farewell, goodbye, good luck, so long.